he mentioned about RBG. I mean, really, the first thing that came to my mind, being one of the prominent justices, really, in this country, in the history of this country, it immediately came to my mind. What Quran refers to as يأمرون بالقسط من الناس, those who enjoin justice from among the people without any qualifier. It's amazing how inclusive is this term in Quran. Okay, يأمرون بالقسط من الناس. Qist is justice. Okay, and we saw it here. Okay, وأقسطوا, be just. Okay, in your dealings and in your judgments. Okay, and when you say not only a judge, okay, or a just person, but you call them by the infinite name, which is a justice. You see what I mean? Like, and even in the Arabic language, when you want to give an adjective to someone, okay, if you use the infinite verb, okay, this is the highest. Okay, you say, okay, this person is not only just, but he is a justice. He represents a justice, al-adl.
Right.
You see, you say this person is thiqah. Thiqah is confidence. But somebody, you say, okay, I have confidence in this person. But then this person goes with his confidence to the highest level, then he became a representative of the whole concept of confidence. You say fulan or somebody is confidence. This person represents justice. But as I said, I mean, and Quran put this group of just people, again, people without any qualifier, like besides the prophets. The verse says, إن الذين يكفرون بآيات الله ويقتلون النبيين بغير حق ويقتلون الذين يأمرون بالقسط من الناس فبشرهم بعذاب أليم. So he put them in the same category with the prophets, again to show how important is a justice. Okay, and the whole, I mean, discussion, if you remember this in this surah, is how to always remember the what you see in this universe. We see in this that this universe has been created on the foundation of a truth. That truth, خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق. But this truth manifests itself in trustworthiness and honesty, صدق. It manifests itself in the consistency and integrity. So the universe responds to you in the same way. Okay, and it doesn't like it changes. Okay, it's always saying the truth at all times. So this is consistency, and is adl, is justice. Everything is balanced. Okay, والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان من كل شيء موزون وجعلنا فيها من كل شيء موزون. Everything you see in this universe is really created on the foundation of balance and equilibrium. So then you will say to yourself, I want to be in harmony with the existence around me. And you look inside yourself and you find these virtues inside you. Don't think that they will come from outside. فألهمها فجورها وتقواها. All taqwa and its manifestations are inspired in us. Okay? But we are dual creatures in this existence. We have also the potential, unfortunately, like to abandon these virtues and go to everything that is opposite to them. But this is how now, when we look introspectively, look inside, we find all these virtues and the potential for their opposites. And then you make the decision how you want to define yourself. Do you want to define yourselves on the basis of these virtues, or you want to and enjoin them and call people to adopt them and commit to them? Or do we want really like to choose the opposite of these virtues and define ourselves accordingly? And so these virtues inside us, okay, then we will have the ability to monitor ourselves and evaluate ourselves by ourselves. So you know yourself by yourself, and you monitor yourself by yourself. No matter how many excuses we can put on the table, we know if we look inside ourselves, we know to what extent we are adhering and committing to these virtues, and to what extent we are capable of avoiding taqwa, avoiding all that is opposite to these virtues. You see, so you adhere and commit to justice, and you avoid injustice and oppression and transgression. You commit yourself to trustworthiness, and you avoid lying. You commit yourself to integrity, and you avoid having multiple faces and putting masks on our own faces. And then you find that you are closer to the truth and going away from falsehood, batil. You see, so and this is why you hear me saying everything starts from inside us. But now you have more insight. Now al-wahy, the revelation, comes to help you. And this is why what is the common word that you see to describe al-wahy? Dhikr. How Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is addressed. إنما أنت مذكر فذكر. You see, إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين. You got it? So dhikr is to remember, to remind. So you remember something that you know before. Is that right? I'm not bringing you something new. You know it. Just look inside you and you see all these virtues. And you know by yourself that saying the truth is better than lying. You believe in it. You say to yourself that you know that saying the truth has better consequences than lying. The consequences of justice is by far better than the consequences of injustice. And so you do all these things out of belief in them. Last week, when we were talking about how the members of the society, the newly born society, this society that is based on a new set of values, new virtues, okay? When you, so the members of that newly born community or society is always reminded to be vigilant to the threats, the dangers that may endanger their solidarity, threaten the fabric of the community, the bonds that connect among the members of the society. And we said these bonds should be on the basis of brotherhood and sisterhood. Okay? And even if there are differences between you and other members, still you see in that member of the community another version of you. You have to look after his or her needs. Yes, it may sound idealistic, but again, we cannot live without these virtues. See what is happening today in the world. So when the members of the society rally behind reconciliation, they want to verify every type of news they reaching them, so that they will not cause any disturbance in the society, anything that may affect the solidarity and the unity of the community. And we said that they have to adopt the habit of verification. تبين فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة, so that you will not cause any disturbance out of ignorance or make the other group upset, angry, and that will definitely, unfortunately, sometimes may lead to not only to simple disputes, but to even sometimes, fighting among these groups. So we should not really wait until these things happen. We have to avoid them and be preemptive about. And here comes again the issue or the concept of taqwa, that you see it repeated in this surah several times. Okay, because this is the guarantee. Okay, again, what do you want? You want to make taqwa or to give taqwa the upper hand inside you, or you want to give fujur, which is the opposite of taqwa, lack of integrity. Okay, because fujur in Arabic, we say like something exploding, infijar, fujur. You see? So fujur is really like what happens when something explodes. Things go in so many different, directions. Okay? And so it's chaos. And the same thing, what do you want to give? Taqwa the upper hand, or you want to give explosion and chaos and going in different directions the upper hand? And the verse, yes,
can
please.
I ask you one question?
Please.
This
please.
Taqwa, and I think I have asked before, Taqwa, Khashya, Khawf, at some time, are they synonymous? Do they kind of mean one and the same thing?
You see different, if you like, manifestations, if you like, okay, and they come really together, okay. So this is why we always say that there are certain terms in Quran very well crafted to become like containers, and you can add more meaning to them. They become loaded terms, like taqwa. Okay, you cannot separate it from khashya. You cannot separate it from khawf, but the positive fear. not the fear that will make you run away from something, but the fear that will accompany you, working for you, not against you, that will make you anxious all the time, that will make you vigilant all the time, conscious all the time. You see what you, I mean, can you exercise taqwa without appreciating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
No.
Khashya,
No.
you see, and khushu'. I mean, all these terms are very close to each other. Okay, so again, they may become, if you like, different steps or different facets of the same objective, and how the human being is capable of putting the virtues above everything that is opposite to them, the high values. And then you discover Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you need someone in this existence. It is a need, it's a necessity that someone has all these virtues in the infinite.
Yes.
Allah is presented to us this way. This is why we always say Quran does not talk about Allah answering the question, what is Allah? It answers the question, who is Allah? Because Allah is not a thing. It's not a physical thing. You see what it's not like anything that comes to your mind. But He presented Himself to us through His beautiful names, which are the high values and the high virtues. Al-Fadila. Qiyam.
It's, when I read different ayahs, it's very interesting how these words are used, different places. It seems like so circumstantial. A couple examples, and you can elaborate on those.
Yeah,
like one ayah, it says, وَزْلِفَةُ الْجَنَّةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ غَيْرَ بَعِيدٍ.
Yes.
Then وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ جَنَّةً.
رَبِّهِ جَنَّةً. Exactly.
Then ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ خَشِيَ رَبَّهُ.
Rabbah. Exactly. You see how they come together. Okay. Right. Yeah. They if you like, feed on each other. You see what I mean? Like, because they are very close. Okay. And they, especially taqwa, it becomes really this bigger container that would really accommodate all these meanings. Okay. Then the concept, believe, and I would say also, do not seal these containers.
Yes.
You see, leave them open, like the book, like Quran itself is an open all the time, as containers to receive more and more meanings. And yes, we sometimes try like to, and you have noticed this over the years, that I don't want these terms to remain fluffy, but how they can brought to the application level. You see, and the original meaning or the original root of these words help you to where you want to start. And you start from ittaqa, like how to avoid. And in this surah, we see how the taqwa and the social taqwa here. It's not only individual taqwa, but the social taqwa. How that will help the society to preserve and protect its solidarity. What is the opposite of unity? Division. You want to avoid. You have to exercise taqwa to avoid. You see, this unity and division. You want to stick to verification to prevent tumult and disturbance in the society, to prevent fitna, to prevent musibah. you see something bad, okay? So, and this is why the Quran described these people who basically take this as a responsibility. He said, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الرَّاشِدُونَ. You see, and at the end of verse number 7, you remember, حبب إليكم الإيمان وزينه في قلوبكم وكره إليكم الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. You see these diseases of kufr, rejection of the truth, covering up the truth. You want to avoid. You want to protect yourself and those around you from this. Fusuq. Fusuq is what? We said is really every action that will lead to the disruption of relationships. However, it is with the good relationship between members of the society, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we have a covenant with Allah. Remember that this covenant is universal. The covenant between the human being and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a universal one. Every one of us had this covenant. How to preserve it and not to sever it. To keep that promise. That promise that you will take Allah as your only qibla, your only goal in this life. You will not join with him any other and cause really chaos. When we have chaos in our life when we have so many different goals. You don't know to which one you want to please. It's like when you are lost in the woods, for example. Can you imagine how fearful the situation will be? Because every direction is possible, but not every action will take you out from these woods. Then you find yourself going in circles, and your fear will increase, and running will not help you, because you may be running away from your desired goal and destination. You need to know the best direction that will lead you. You see why it is shirk is a problem for the human being. So fusuq is another disease that need to be avoided, and exercise taqwa to prevent it. Asyan, disobedience. You see, because you cannot have a working community without really like having a leadership that is basically obeyed.
Got that one too.
Provided that they are not asking you to do something against the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الرَّاشِدُونَ. Rashidun, those who practice rushd. And again, rushd is another loaded term in Quran. But to simplify it is, in Arabic we say isabatul haq. When truth is your target and you are on target. You remember in Surah Al-Jinn, Quran says, okay, فَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ تَحَرَّوْا رَشَدًا. They are seeking all the time the truth. So to make sure that they are on target with the truth. Very beautiful term. تَحَرَّوْا رَشَدًا. In Surah Al-Kahf, that also we read every Friday.
Right.
لِأَقْرَبَ مِنْ هَذَا رَشَدًا. It's very beautiful. Aqrab is to get closer, to approach. Because you will not own the truth, but you're getting closer and closer to it. You are seeking it. And even in science, wallahi, the most common word that we use in medicine is the word approach. How do you approach this problem? How do you approach this disease? How do you approach this abnormal laboratory test? How do you approach this symptom? How do you approach? Because you will never appropriate the whole truth. And you always keep room for more truth to come. And this is really who is the real scientist? Who masters? Not the one who knows everything. There is no one who knows everything. In fact, the master in science is the one who always keep room for more truth to come. His or her ears, his or her eyes are always open. Their minds are always open. They believe that there is something more that they can add. But those who think that they have reached, these are the least in knowledge, to be honest with you. They close the door. This is why I said even these terms that we are talking about, keep them open. You may read another verse and it will add another meaning. You may have a new experience in your life, and that may lead you to another, or the experiences of others. And this is why I always urge you, okay, all of you, please share with us your own experiences, because this is one of the best ways to broaden our horizon and give more dimensions to these very interesting terms. And now we will come to more into that as we discuss the other side, or the symmetrical. Last week we discussed verses 6 to 9.
Today, before you
yes?
Go to other surah, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah, please.
Okay. This ayah 7,
yes,
and it's been repeated so many other places. The terms fusuk and kufr.
Yes.
It seems like they have overlapping common characteristics, right?
Yeah.
And
again,
one is bad enough, you know. It's not that one is better than the other, you know, right? I mean,
yeah.
if Fasik cannot be, it's not like he's a better guy than the kafir. You know? So sometimes I wonder, isn't just one term sufficiently bad enough?
No. There are always some. Let me give you an example. Okay. Kufr, covering the truth.
Right.
I mean, knowingly, you know, and you are covering up.
Yeah.
Okay. Fusuq, as Quran describe it, is like severance of these relations. And here, Quran said, bijahala, out of ignorance, they are doing it. So sometimes you unknowingly fall into that. You see what I mean?
But I go to the classical example, like the shaitan. Allah himself said, Inna shaitana minal kafirin, right? And he was definitely also fasik because he was disobedient.
Not only disobedient, but his role,
right.
one of his roles is to plant animosity. يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء. He wants his job, or one of his jobs, his roles, his missions that he took on himself is to plant animosity and hatred. So whoever among humans doing this, he is falling into the agenda of shaitan. You see what I mean? If someone falls into kufr, no question, he is falling into the agenda of shaitan. If he's practicing fusuq, okay, bijahala, you see, he's falling also. into the, because this is the objective of shaitan, and that individual is falling into the agenda of shaitan. Shaitan disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that right?
Yes.
He did not bow to or prostrate to Adam like the angels. So he disobeyed. Okay, you see what I mean? So again, this is a disease. He knows Allah. He cannot be kafir.
Right.
He's talking to him.
Yes.
But he fell into another problem. Okay, that really, again, these are also loaded terms. You see what I mean? They, as we said, they are crafted from what people know about them in the physical world, and then they became abstract metaphors, okay, that will help us to understand them and what do they mean in our what is important for us is to recognize them as diseases, okay. And if you are or be patient for a while, and we will come to something that would add another dimension to what we are talking about. So the symmetrical verses to the 6 to 9, 11 to 13. So before that, verse number 8, أولئك هم الراشدون فضلا من الله ونعمة والله عليم حكيم. This is a favor and a bounty from Allah. Fadl and ni'mah. These are to be able to reach the truth, or to approach and get closer to the truth. Okay, this should be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will facilitate this to us. But I want you to look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described himself. Alim and Hakim. Knowledge and wisdom. These the two beautiful names of Allah. And as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, you also need to be not only knowledgeable, but put your knowledge into practice, which is wisdom. And putting it in the right direction. Give your knowledge the right direction. Because ilm alone may lead us to dangers. Is that right? If it is abused or misused, it may lead to destruction. It may lead to disturbance in the society. So the knowledge has no meaning if it is not practiced, and should be practiced and given the right direction. And this is really wisdom. Even you remember when we said that, I mean, even today in education, they talk about the 3 steps: information, how to transform information into knowledge, okay? Not to keep them pieces here and there. No, you need to put them together in order to be meaningful. So then they become knowledge. And that knowledge, the 3rd step, is really wisdom. Honestly, this is what they call it. They call it wisdom, which is a practice. How to implement that knowledge, how to transform that knowledge into application. And how many times you see يُعَلِّمُكُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. Not only knowledge, relaying that knowledge. The prophets are not only transmitting the knowledge, but also they help their followers how to apply. They become the role model, the example for them. Like the prophet, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. I'm asking you to verify, and the prophet is the model for you. He will not take everything you tell him, okay, based on your desires. No, no, no. He will follow the truth, and he will verify the information and act accordingly. لو يطيعكم في كثير من الأمر لعنتم. If the prophet is going where to follow your own desires, okay, that would lead to harm and difficulty in the whole society. Again, you need to practice taqwa, okay, in order to avoid all these really diseases. Now let us look at the symmetrical verses 11 to 13, because here you will see how the society has to be also vigilant about little things, or things may look little, but if they accumulate, they may lead to the disputes that we were talking about earlier among the groups, that may sometimes lead to significant conflicts and fighting, and people destroying each other, civil wars, the worst that we can see. And it is very unfortunate that in our own, lifespan, we have seen so many civil wars, and we are continue to see. And you see how they are very, very, very destructive, very difficult to stop. And so let us explore what are really these things. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم. Don't ridicule each other. Or you believe. This society is founded on mutual respect. Do not deride each other. Do not undermine each other. Thinking that you are, now when somebody derides somebody else, okay, usually they do it because they feel they are better.
We know who does this every day.
Yeah. On any basis.
Yes.
Could be on basis of where they live, where they come from, to which family they belong, to which tribe they belong, to which country they belong, to which race, nationality, language. Anything can be taken as a reason, you see, to ridicule. And this is, if we said that this society, remember that these verses are symmetrical to what? Symmetrical to the central theme. إنما المؤمنون إخوة. Do you ridicule your brother or sister as if you are ridiculing yourself? Do you ridicule your parents, your sons and daughters? You see, and so you, I think there is I think that the people sometimes when they read the word asa does not mean probably. This is la'alla is a probably. But asa, it means that this is what you wish. So when somebody derides somebody else, they are wishing that they are better. But this may not be the truth. The other may be better than you. So this is a false type or empty wishes, empty hopes. So if this is really the driving force, don't do it. This is not really true. This is a false wish. And specifically, then Quran talks about if this has to be applicable to the whole society, then Quran made it very specific about for women. وَلَا نِسَاءٌ مِّن نِسَاءٍ عَسَىٰ أَن يَكُنَّ خَيْرًا مِّنْهُنْ. Don't think that you are exempted from this. okay, this type of gossip, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, okay, is based on what? Ridiculing the other, finding something, even if it is true, even if it is true. This is not your job, okay, to ridicule. If there is a room for something, there is room for advice, mutual advice. تواصوا بالحق. You see? ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم. Don't also be sarcastic about each other. Don't insult each other by calling by certain epithets or something. Okay, this person, he belongs to this group. Oh, I mean, this is, I mean, or reminding people of something they did wrong before. Okay, and now you are, and remember that all these things are done in the open. You see that what we are covering in this verse are things that can be done openly in front of everybody. You are ridiculing some, one group is ridiculing another one, or one person ridiculing somebody else in front of others, or calling or insulting each other in the public. Okay. وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. Don't call each other names, something that they don't like. Okay? And again, they may sound little, but if they accumulate and the community loses mutual respect, loses confidence, then they lose trust. And that society becomes really very weak. Its bonds are really very weak. They can be taken very easily, especially when they are facing like an outside threat or danger. They cannot stand up. They cannot protect each other because they don't love each other enough. They don't see themselves as really like brothers and sisters, as co-citizens.
Dr. Khayr,
yes, please.
I have a comment. Is this as bad as backbiting, which is highly discouraged in our religion? Backbiting.
And next verse will cover that. Okay. But backbiting is done not in front of the person. All right. These things, you see, the common denominator about deriding, insulting, calling each other names are done in the public, in front of the person, humiliating the other by any of these really actions. The next verse covers the three other things that can be done behind the scene of the person, in the absence of the person, which makes it even more dangerous and more conducive to the disruption of the fabric of the society. And we will get to that, especially about backbiting.
Okay.
بئس, I want you to underscore this. بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان. You know, al-ism, noun. Okay? Now, I mean, you know, we are familiar with the proper names. Walid, Shakil, Muzaffar, Noor. I mean, these are proper names. Okay? But also there are names that are not the proper. Like, for example, the verb to believe, or amana, or yu'minu, the name is iman. Is that right? Iman becomes not the verb, but the noun. fasaqa is the verb. Fusuq is the name. Now, what is the significance of the name? What is the significance, okay, when we talk about, for example, the beautiful names of Allah? Asma'ullahi al-Husna. Each name is not just a word, but it is really a concept behind that name. Give you a simple example. When I say table, okay, regardless of what language I use, whether I say table or tawila or table or casa, all of them means one thing. Is that right? But these are different names, okay, in different languages. But the moment, if you see something like a board with like 4 legs, okay, you say this is a table. There are infinite shapes of these tables, is that right? But the moment I tell you the word, or I say to you the word table, I don't have to show you a picture to know what I am talking about. Now it has become a concept in your mind. Is that right? Every time you hear the word table, you don't need to see a picture of it. Because you understand what does it really mean. So it is not just a word, but there is a concept behind it. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, عَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, the ability to name things. You see, no question that the highest is really how to address Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You address him through his names. You see, Ya Sami', Ya Basir, Ya Quddus, Ya Salam, Ya Ghafur, Ya Rahim. You are addressing him by his names. But each name, there is a concept behind it. Behind the all forgiving, there is the concept of forgiveness. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is challenging us. You have before you 2 names. One is Al-Fusuq and one is Al-Iman. Which one you want to choose? Which concept you want to commit yourself to? Which name you want to commit yourself to? If you follow, if you do these actions, that the verse is really like warning us about them. Okay? Do not deride, do not insult, do not call each other names. Okay?
I have a very good example. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was known as Al-Amin.
Yes, that's the same thing. But there is a whole concept behind Al-Amin. Right. You see, like this credibility, this honesty, all this. And again, these names may become big containers, as we said earlier, and they can receive more, and you can add more and more meanings to them. And this is really a very interesting Quranic approach, because Quran will come to issues, to things, start from what the society being addressed, what they have, where they have reached, and then take that to higher levels, and make out of what they are doing a concept, a container that will, and Quran will add more and more into, and then they become very loaded, very pregnant, if you like, terms. Like, again, if the society, the members of the society are practicing deriding and ridiculing each other, calling each other names, insulting each other, what will happen to the society? It will stay, coherent with solidarity, or it will start to divide. They will divide among each other. Definitely they will. That is fusuq. So Quran is saying, why are you replacing iman by fusuq? Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the believers. Do not replace that iman. إنما المؤمنون إخوة. You see, don't replace brotherhood and sisterhood by the actions that define fusuq, that will sever the relations among the bonds among the members of the society.
Brother Walid, can I make an
Yes.
observation?
Please.
So this ayah was revealed to a society which, quote unquote, not very civilized. Okay, let's for 1 second assume that that's what it is. Now, 1,500 years later, in this country, for example, which is supposed to be very civilized, very technologically progressive and all that, and yet we see the head of the state engages in the same kind of thing that the so-called uncivilized people were doing 1,500 years ago. So the observation is these characteristics are basic instincts of mankind. They are not washed or bleached or cleaned with the technology or progress of civilization.
Yeah.
Right? They just don't change.
Yeah. You see, one time I made an analogy. When you are building a structure, a building, okay, like a school or factory, whatever, okay, or a house, okay, it is a structure, is that right? And you see many times you are an engineer, you know this better than me, but you see that they use the scaffold at the beginning during building, so that it will waiting for this structure to stand on its own. Is that right?
Yes.
The scaffold, okay.
Scaffold, yes.
The scaffold, okay. But after you are done, after you finished the building of that structure, okay, you don't keep the scaffold. Is that right? The technology that you are talking about is the scaffold that we use to build something. Now, when you take it away, okay, the structure should really stand on its own. Is that right?
Yes.
But if the foundation is weak, it will fall.
Right.
The foundation are the virtues that we are talking about. Now, yes, you see that there are people who are practicing these things, but I want you to focus on the people who are really trying to amend the situation.
Right.
You see, they are always. Otherwise, you will see the whole society will disintegrate.
Yeah.
But why it is still, standing? Because always there will be people who will say, no, this is not right. No matter who is doing it, it is wrong. And we have to stick to the virtues, because these are the virtues that will keep the society standing. You need the foundation of the virtues. And they are so, like we were talking at the beginning about RBG. Okay, and she will continue to inspire people, especially women, okay, and all those who are justice loving. You see, and we need to support that, and we need to come together, okay, to support that, because we are in the same boat. And if you see somebody poking a hole in that boat, not only those who are poking will drown. All of us will drown. Is that right? So I will really focus on those who are standing up for justice, standing up against derision or sarcasm, or being sarcastic about other people, or ridiculing other people, or calling other people names. Okay, so and that, and we see it now. It's not only among individuals or groups, and sometimes you see it among countries calling each other names. This is not going to foster peace. It's going to foster really conflicts and wars. And so again, I mean, they may you mentioned something, Brother Noor, which is also, I would stress again, that Quran never says that kufr or fusuq or any of these diseases are going to go away. You see what I mean? But our job, okay, is how to create an environment. Please pay attention to this. This is very important. How to create an environment that will not allow these diseases to flourish. You see, you will not eliminate stealing. You will not eliminate killing. You are not going, but you need to create environments, a climate that will make these actions very difficult to occur. You see, that is really the analogy, if you like. I mean, because I am in infectious diseases, I have some understanding of that. Okay, we always say it is not the bug, it is the terrain. It is the environment that will allow these organisms. If you have a strong immunity, okay, the certain organisms will not be able like to do harm to you. But you can see when a human being loses his or her immunity for one reason or another, wallahi, what we say, they become like a petri dish, which means that anything can grow, anything can cause harm. So it is, again, how to increase the immunity of the society. You see? So I always say, even the same thing in infectious diseases. Wallahi, the advances in infectious diseases were not because of antimicrobials, the medications that we use. And today, in fact, two things were behind the advances of this discipline: vaccination and sanitation. What do we need today for COVID?
Masks.
What is, you see, this is the best. It's really like to strengthen the individual. What does a vaccine do? It strengthens you from inside. And the second thing is sanitation. So many diseases have been prevented just because of sanitation. Just be clean. Just be clean. And I mean, while waiting for the vaccine, we are telling people, please keep clean. Use disinfectants, clean the surfaces, don't shake hands, use a mask. You see, all these things, keep distance from each other. This is to keep, again, environment. So the role of the revelation is not to create a new virtues. The virtues are inside you and inside me. But create an environment for these virtues, like to have the upper hand over everything that is opposite to them. So that, you see, like if the society believes that, dealing among each other with riba. What is riba?
Usually.
Okay?
Yes.
Usually, not interest, this is another discussion, but usually, okay? If the society believes that usury is not acceptable, do you think somebody can come, a businessman can come and do a transaction based on usury? They will lose because nobody believes in it. The environment doesn't allow it. So the society will be immune to this.
Correct.
So again, please remember these two things. How to strengthen the human being from inside, okay, by these virtues, the foundation of any society. And then create a clean environment. Don't you think that these are also applicable to how to raise children?
Yes. Absolutely, yes.
This is the best way. Don't you think that this is the best way to prevent, a crime?
Yes.
How do you prevent a crime? Create an environment that people will not feel that they have to go and kill each other, and strengthen them from inside. Work on to strengthen, remind them of the virtues inside them, the virtue of mercy, the virtue of forgiveness, the virtue of, otherwise if you start really like, okay, he killed, he harmed me, I'm going to harm him. He ridiculed me, I have to ridicule him. He called me names, I will call him names. We go into a vicious circle. The end result is destruction of the society. Let us look at the things, little things also, but they are very destructive. They may look little. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن. Avoid, oh who you believe, avoid much of the guesswork. Most of guesswork. Let me ask you this question. Don't you think that most of the disputes that we see, even in our own circles, are based on unfounded guesswork? Then we think, not we believe, we think he does this, did that, or she did that, she said that, and everything is unfounded many times. We are guessing. Quran is saying, اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن. Why most of it? Because some of it is a sin. It's not right. It's based on falsehood. It's not even true. And again, you start thinking about others not in their presence. When they are away, you start talking, oh, he did that, she did that, he said that, and as I told you, and I don't have to give you examples. You know it, even in our own families. We see it sometimes. But believe me, it is, if we avoid this guesswork, most of these, disputes will go away. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Don't spy on each other. As you know, Quran, when was written at the beginning, there was no there was no practice of putting dots like you see here. Okay, how do you differentiate between ha and ja? You see the dot underneath. Is that right? Tajassasu. Now, if you remove that dot, how do you read it? Tahassasu. Now you find that word in Surah Yusuf. يا بني يذهبوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخي. Yaqub alayhi salam asked because he wants to find Yusuf. He said, go and spying, but for good reasons. You see, tahassasu, okay, explore, find out where is Yusuf. So you will be spying, but for good reasons. Here, tajassasu, you are spying to find faults, to find the mistakes, and then start ridiculing and making undermining others. You see, now take it at the level of the government. Governments should not spy on their citizens. Is that right?
Right.
And see how people will, the moment they see that somebody is spying on them, they stand up. Because they feel they are unrespected. I mean, their privacy is violated. But I am telling you how a society, listen carefully to me, how a society was able to read the verse in Surah Yusuf, tahassasu, and in this surah, they read it, tajassasu, at the time when these dots were not present. How come? So, my dear brothers and sisters, it is really the outlook, the vision that will allow you to differentiate between Ar-Rahim and Ar-Rajim. What is the difference between Ar-Rahim and Ar-Rajim? And the way you write it, it's one dot difference. The one without dot, you read it Ar-Rahim, and with the dot below Ha becomes Ja, you read Ar-Rajim. Allah is Rahim, Shaitan is
Rajim.
Rajim. A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytan
الرجيم.
Ar-Rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman
الرحيم.
Ar-Rahim. You got it?
Yeah.
How come in the absence of dots you can read one as Rajim and the other as Rahim? And this one you read it Tajassasu in this surah, and you read it Tahassasu in Surah Yusuf. My dear brothers, is the vision. The vision that will tell you, okay, Yaqub objective is to find his son, which is a good thing. While here, spying to find mistakes and discover faults of the people in order to ridicule them. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. Don't backbite each other. Now, what is the definition of ghiba? To say something, again, please listen carefully. Ghiba is when you are saying something about your brother or sister, okay, behind their back, in their absence, but it is still true. Because if you are saying something about them that is not true, it becomes a slander. You follow, Noor?
Yes, I do.
This is the difference between ghiba and buhtan. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he was asked, they asked him, even if that was true, he said, if it was true, it is ghiba. If it is wrong, it becomes a slander. فَقَدْ بَهَتَّ buhtan. You are really like incriminating your brother of something that they did not do. But even if it is true, you are saying the truth in ghiba. But why saying the truth is here haram? because it disrupts the fabric of the society. This leads us to a very important concept here, that knowing the truth is necessary but not sufficient. The truth should be also accompanied by عدل. تمت كلمة ربك صدقا وعدلا. When you are practicing backbiting, although you are saying the truth, but you are really disrupting the fabric of the society. So it is a truth where falsehood is the objective. As Imam Ali put it very nicely, he said, okay, حق أريد به باطل. Sometimes you may abuse the truth to lead others into falsehood. And the falsehood, yes, go ahead.
You can say they're like a people's privacy?
No, privacy is tajassus. Don't spy on the people. But if you notice something wrong, if from your brother or sister, talk about it privately, but openly with that person.
Even if you talk about somebody as the truth, things you're telling other brothers, it's like you're violating the other person's privacy.
Yes, because you are saying it in their absence. Yeah. You are right. And this is very good. This is, I mean, these things are, they share, I mean, common denominators, okay, that you are violating in all these practices, okay, the privacy. And this is how I take them all together. You see, guesswork or basing things on guessing, or the tajassus, okay, spying on the, or backbiting, no question that you are violating the privacy of that individual. If you have something, say it in his or her face, okay, in the form of an advice.
You know, they spread out all the news around there.
Yeah, remember.
And rumors.
Exactly, and remember what we have said in the past, that every verse in Quran is a unit, is a cohesive, organistic unit. So when Quran says, أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَنْ يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ, is not only applicable to backbiting, but also applicable to guesswork and to spying. Any of these three, when we practice them, Quran is saying as if you are eating the flesh of your brother or sister. And you abhor that. You hate this. So don't do it. Don't do any of them, not only backbiting. Unfortunately, people sometimes apply this to backbiting. No. This comes in the same verse. So I have to take the whole verse as one unit. And this is applicable not only to backbiting, but to spying or saying things based on guessing, on dhann. All of these, you are violating the privacy of your brother and sister as if you are eating their flesh. Do you like it? No, you hate it. So you have to hate these practices the same way you hate eating the flesh of your brother or sister.
Brother Walid, this reminds me of this ayah, and you can expand on this, where Allah says, Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani Adama Allah ta'budu shaytan innahu lakum aduun mubin wa li'buduni haza siratum mustaqim. So it looks like all these things, all the negative things that you highlighted, we're just walking into the traps that the shaitan has laid.
And exactly, and the steps of shaitan and the agenda of shaitan. يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء. His job is really, okay, to plant hatred and animosity among you. Okay? He always wants you to go into fahsha and munkar. إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء. These are the jobs. I mean, it's clear. Quran is clear about it. And this is what Quran said. Take him as your enemy. Don't take him as a friend. Take him as a foe. إن الشيطان لكم عدو فاتخذوه عدوا. Deal with him as your enemy. Don't follow his agenda. The same way, do you follow the agenda of your enemy? And here, see how strong is the verse? Like, if you do this as if you are eating the flesh, you have to hate it the same way you hate, okay? And again, you cannot love something unless you hate something. You have to hate these practices in order to appreciate brotherhood and sisterhood. You have to hate fusuq and kufr and asyan in order to love iman and all its implications. Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. If you are truly believers, okay, you need to stick and to the virtues, to the high values of justice, brotherhood, sisterhood, to the truth, to integrity, to honesty, okay? Not ridiculing each other, not calling each other names, not insulting each other in the public, even in the private. Do not backbite, do not base your decisions on guess, do not, or your evaluation on guessing, do not spy, do not violate the privacy.
This kind of stuff that destroyed the society. And from the bottom family to the whole entire nation, you can
exactly
do it in a second.
And again, and again, see how the verse ends. Wattaqullah. Without this, the idea of practicing taqwa, without putting the virtues, giving the virtues inside you the higher hand, the upper hand, okay, you will fall. Now, even if you fall, there is a way to come up. You come back to Allah, you repent, and you ask Him for forgiveness, and He will forgive you. Inna Allaha tawwabun rahim. Again, this is very important, because as we said, it is not that we are talking about elimination of these things. These things happen, but do not let them become the common thing, or the thing that will be the constant behavior of the society. If they happen, immediately we advise each other so that we repent and transcend, because repentance is transcendence. You transcend these actions, go above and beyond them. And this is the true repentance. You replace them by actions that will sustain the sisterhood, the brotherhood of the society. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ. Again, you see how we always come back to the central theme. Now, if the society was able to protect itself, defend itself against these bad actions, if it's capable of sustaining its solidarity because of the so many things that common among each other, including what they have, what way of life, what set of values they really agreed upon and commit themselves to. Mu'minun. Now, if that society, I mean, is capable of sustaining itself, then it has the ability to go outside and expand these virtues universally. And now you see how Quran changed the address. Ya ayyuhan nas. Now you can go to the whole world, to all the people, reminding them that you have been created from a male and a female. You are versions of each other. Initially you were one self, نفس واحدة. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من نفس واحدة. So, and from this نفس واحدة came the male and the female.
Dr. Khayr?
Yes.
Can I ask you one question before we talk?
Yes, yes.
So we talk about all the behavior and the gibbat and, you know, the truth. And I have one question on that. Sometimes in the professional group, we do this, like say you are frustrated with your brother or sister or co-worker or friend or community member, and you are frustrated because something is happening which you don't agree to. And this fact, you are talking to somebody, is like say, hey, I just went out on this, you know, it's just I'm holding and I had to get it out of my chest. I don't have anything against this person or whatever, but I just didn't like this happen. So sometimes this is human behavior to get it out. They call it as, I'm just venting, you know, I have nothing against. Is there any guidance? Is that okay? Or that is still not? You just, sabr is the way to go?
I mean, let me tell you, it depends also on what is really your objective, what we call niyyah, what is your intention, okay? If the intention is really like to understand what is going on. Many times when we are really venting, we are really trying like to really understand. Probably there is something, it's as a blind spot to us. So while you are really venting or saying something, another person will say, but remember, this guy is not doing it on purpose, or I mean, something that you may not be aware of, or his intention was this or that. So it may probably wash the hearts, okay, of everyone, and things may go back to be really in good terms. Or sometimes we may say something for the objective of evaluation, because really when you are evaluating, you are really trying to find how you can help that person, okay? Right. So, but if you are really talking about it just to show that the other person is bad, or just like to show that, that makes you better or something like, I don't think this is really the objective. I will be afraid that we may be falling into this realm of ghiba.
Right. I think that's why I agree with Dr. Walid. I think your concept it's not as simple as just talking about, like, there is a concept behind this whole thing.
Yes.
So like if you're talking, your purpose of talking to somebody else is to get advice or help, right? That's different than trying to,
undermine the other.
Undermine the person. I think that's, so it's not as simple that you can just say black and white. There is no such thing as one way or the other, right? This concept, you have to look at everything in the context.
Yes, and this is why the best way to monitor that is really look introspectively inside you. You can give people outside all the excuses, okay? But between you and yourself, you know what is the right thing to do. And your guide is your taqwa, is the virtues that are inside you. Muhammad ﷺ always said, at-taqwa ha huna, and he will really like point to his heart, which means that it is inside you. Alhamaha fujuraha wa taqwaha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us and he inspired into us all these virtues. Do you think, I mean, look at the children, because children are very innocent. They do things by default. They know, okay, they don't lie. I mean, they say things as they are. Later, when they become afraid of the people, of the society, of their parents, they may really lie because of dominance. You see, dominance will cause them really to lie. But if they are left to their nature, they will not lie. Nobody teaches. Nobody taught them.
It's something like if somebody has a real problem, I think that you should straight go talk to them. Hey, what's going on? What's the problem?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't anything go anywhere else. If you have a problem, if it's something violent, if there's a harassment, just go straight shot. Hey guys, whatever problem, you sit down, talk a couple of minutes. Even you keep going on. There's different situation. You can go upper level.
Yeah.
But if you one time event, you just talk to them. Hey, do you mean that? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You have a problem with us?
Yeah.
I think that was the easy way to fix it.
Yeah. So again, as I said, the main objective is really to preserve the privacy of the individuals, the members of the society. The objective is to keep the fabric of the society strong. These actions and others like them, the problem with them is that they disrupt that fabric, and this is why they are not acceptable. But again, the way to and this is why Quran, I mean, the internal policing is the best way to do it. It's not going to happen from outside, because there's so many things happening in private and behind the backs of people. So this is why if you don't exercise taqwa, it's easy to do it. What prevents you is this internal policing. الوازع له من نفسه. This is why Socrates said, know thyself, and Imam Ali say, حاسب نفسك بنفسك. You monitor yourself by yourself. You monitor based on what? On the virtues inside you. How close or away, going away from them. This is the best monitor. And again, this is why even the verse that we are going to discuss about ta'aruf, okay, like how to expand and people start really knowing each other, learning together, learning about each other, learning from each other. The idea is to see each other as versions of each other. أخ لك نظير أخ لك في الدين أو نظير لك في الخلق. Somebody that looks like you in this creation. You see the other human being as if you are looking at yourself in the mirror. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you start really addressing your needs. And the same thing, you look at your fellow human being and you start recognizing their needs and you meet their needs. This is the whole idea. إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The most honored among you, the most respected among you in the eyes of Allah is the one who is more practicing of taqwa. That it means sticking to the virtues inside them, the high values that emanate from themselves. And if they believe in Allah, it will foster this because they believe in Allah who has all these virtues in the infinite. And their belief in Allah, they know that they get closer to Him the more they realize these beautiful names in their daily life. Inna Allaha alimun khabir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. You don't have to say, I have taqwa. Allah knows. He has the knowledge and the expertise. Because sometimes I may have the knowledge, but I don't know how to experience that. Like when we studied medicine, oh my God, we learned so many concepts, so many things. But knowledge is something, and then to experience it is something else. Alim, Khabir. So remember that this surah was revealed in almost the last year of the Prophet's life, the last year in Medina. So he is trying to make the people, before he leaves this life, very vigilant. And we have seen when the society puts its guards down, see what happened. Who kept the society together during the rightful caliphs. But after that, things start really go down until people vigilant about this bring the people again around these virtues, the foundation of the society. Like today, we ask people to stick to the measures to protect themselves from COVID. If they put their guards down, boom, you see the numbers going up. Mm-hmm. The same thing here, okay? These are the practices that you need to avoid. If you start really going back to them, they will weaken the society. Don't put your guards down. You see, this is the taqwa, the social taqwa that needs to be all the time alive in the society. And this is why we said earlier, yes, there are people who are pushing the society to go, but there are also people who stand up for justice, who stand up for the truth, who stand up for the unity and the cohesion of the society. Otherwise, things will go sour, and we know what are really So I think we have come now. You can see, and I will urge all of you to reread the surah, okay, and see, okay, how these. I hope that I was able to give you a different perspective of how to approach the surah. Okay, and you see how relevant still it is to our life today. And remember that what happened, what was a major event that happened towards the last year of the Prophet's life. He performed Hajj,
pilgrimage, yeah.
The only Hajj that he performed. And it was the farewell Hajj.
Yes.
And in Hajj, what is the main thing of Hajj? The main station of Hajj? Arafah. Al-Hajj Arafah. This is how Muhammad ﷺ defined Hajj. He said, if you want to summarize Hajj, all its events, you can summarize it at its top, because Arafah is an elevated place, as if it is the apogee, the apex of Al-Hajj. And Arafah and Ta'aruf, they have common root. Can you have an event better than Al-Hajj for people coming from different places of the world to get to know each other? Now you have to ask, ourselves, is Al-Hajj today fulfilling its objective, or it has been transformed into simple mechanical rituals devoid of life, devoid of fulfilling its main objective of how you come back a different human being after you have seen the experiences of others, learned about others, learned with others, learned from others. Look at Tawaf during Al-Hajj. You find yourself moving all the time, putting your feet in the steps of others, reminding you that you are all need each other to enrich your experience, to exchange experiences. You see, that's and you cannot go to Arafah without tawaf, without sa'i, without putting all the effort along with others to elevate all of you together into Arafah, to really come out of this experience a newly born human being with new experiences, with a new outlook to the world. You see, that's the as if Al-Hajj that was performed by Muhammad ﷺ along with the wahi at that time, with the revelation or the verses revealed around that time, as if it is reminding the whole community, you are going to meet with other cultures, with other civilizations, with people with different experiences. Do not deride them. Do not call them names. Do not be sarcastic of them. Learn from their experiences. Bring them this new set of virtues by example. And I asked you this question before. We know that the first group almost reached China. On their way, you find so many languages spoken by the people. Till you reach there, what type of language they spoke? How people get to know about them? They don't have a common language at that time. I think the common language was really the virtues that they brought with them. If you exercise generosity with another human being, they will understand that language. Even if both of you speak verbally different languages. But the practice of generosity, everyone knows it. If you practice mercy and forgiveness with others, they will understand it. Even if you speak a different language from them, even if you have different traditions from them, even if you have different experiences from them. But these virtues, Quran called them ma'roof. Everybody knows them because they are inside us. When you practice them, you are reminding yourself and reminding others what they have inside them. And they are they are better and have better consequences than their opposite. Now, where do we go from here? I thought that I have been thinking for a long time about approaching the para 28. And all of this para has been revealed in Medina. Before, Surah Al-Hujurat. But these constructs talk about social, sometimes political issues, okay, that or even financial issues that were really facing the society, and we need to understand them, but we need to understand how Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, through revelation, tackled these issues. And my hope is that we can, through Quran, you can see something different. I don't want to go outside Quran to understand these issues. Yes, our practices, our other sources of knowledge will help us to ask questions to Quran at a higher level of understanding, so that Quran will give us answers at a higher level of understanding. You got it? Because if you ask the same question in the same way every time you get the same answer, your knowledge will be limited. But when you start asking more advanced questions, and I ask you to bring all your experiences. My experience mostly is from medicine, but your experiences can be from business, from accounting, from economics, from engineering, from teaching, from nursing, and we have a lot of experiences. Let them help us to elevate our questions. And you will see how Quran will give us more. The same way when we elevated our questions in Surah Al-Hujurat, I believe myself, before anybody else, I have a better understanding and a deeper understanding of these issues and how to build a strong society, rather than leaving things fluffy and saying, oh, this surah is about akhlaq. Give me a break. We have to go deeper than that. These are more than just really like simple ethical conducts. These are really, what outlook you need to have, what type of society you want, what type of a human being you want. Okay, so inshallah next week we'll start tackling these constructs, and we'll start, and I used really their history of revelation rather than their order in Quran after the completion really of revelation. Okay, I think this approach will help us to see how the society proceeded historically. Okay, how they tackle one issue, these issues at really different times of its evolution. Okay?
I got one quick observation, Dr. Khayr.
Yes.
Going back to the term tajassus, which means spy, in Urdu, the term for spy is jasus.
Yes, and in Arabic, jasus is a spy. Jasus. But the difference between tahassasu and tajassasu. One is good and the other is bad.
Right.
One is to find, I mean, to explore and find something that is legitimate, and the other is really like just to find the faults and discover things that will disrupt the society.
Right.
Okay, but to bring somebody back to his family and to use, I mean, information that will lead you to that, that is okay. فit will be تحسسوا.
That's positive.
Yes, like as if تحسس, like as if you are really feeling the pulse.
Right.
Okay, trying to find out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Everybody.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. See you
Jazakallah.
next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.